Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is The Edge of Madness. I'm your host, Rusty.
And I'm Mr. J. This is our first official first episode.
Indeed.
So, Rusty, what are we going to be talking about today?
Today's topic is doppelgangers.
Oh, right. And just so y'all know, before we start talking about our main topic, what we want to implement into our shows is a current event. We're going to call it the current conspiracy. Rusty, what is our current conspiracy for today?
Well, this one developed this weekend.
Uh-huh.
I think the first day was June 3rd or 4th.
Right.
So apparently this non-profit group called Veterans on Patrol out of...
was it Tucson?
Tucson, yeah. Tucson, Arizona. Was conducting some kind of walk around this property.
Right.
An abandoned property of a cement company. I believe the company's name is Cemex.
Cemex, okay.
Cemex.
It's one of the big boys, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's like the actual national cement company of Mexico. But they're worldwide. Okay. And I know that they have some contracts with like the Clinton Foundation and things like that.
Okay.
They were helping to rebuild Haiti.
Are they like, do they do contracts all around the world?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. But they're especially active in the U.S., in the southern U.S. But this actual property is, as far as I know, abandoned.
Okay.
It's just caged off or fenced off or whatever.
Right.
Anyway, these guys somehow arrived on the property, and they found a camp, which appears to be, according to them, a sex trafficking, like, waypoint.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So they claim that they found all kinds of evidence. We have a website here, the commonsenseshow.com. Okay. I've never heard of it before.
Right.
But they claim that they are getting firsthand accounts from the guys in Veterans on Patrol of some of the things that have been going down there or evidence that's there, and just the different kinds of items they found, stuff like that. So, I don't know. I don't know what to think of this. It's interesting. It's definitely kind of scary.
Well, have there been accounts of things like this happening before? Because, I mean, I hear, the Kennedys have always been...
the Clintons, you mean?
Or the Clintons, I'm sorry. I don't know why I always say the Kennedys. They've been accused of things like this to where they have sex trafficking rings or they're affiliated with them in some way. So...
Yeah, that's definitely a pretty, I guess, fresh, maybe popular conspiracy going on right now.
Really?
Is that the Clintons are involved in all kinds of dirty, nasty, scoundrelly things.
Is this the Clinton family, or is this just the two?
It's the family using the resources of their foundation.
Okay. To
build alliances with creeps.
Okay.
Who have power, I guess.
Makes a lot of sense.
And of course that leads into some of the other conspiracies about the Clintons themselves.
Right.
With people being suicided, people who are around them disappearing or getting hurt, things like that, or money disappearing that is going through the foundation, things like that. But this case is very loosely tied to that. I don't know if there's any evidence to actually prove it. All I know is that there's videos out there of these guys discovering this camp.
Okay. Because I know there was for the Tucson police, are they, I know you were talking about beforehand, before we started the show, that you were talking about there was a veteran society or association that was looking into this as well?
Yeah, that would be Veterans for Child Protection or something like that, or...
So what's
it's along those lines. They're led by a former Navy SEAL. I can't think of his name right now, but he's on YouTube and he's been pretty mobile in working against child sex trafficking rings for a few years now.
Right.
I know they had him on the on Alex Jones's show, InfoWars, about a year ago, talking a little bit about what he does and how they do it.
Right.
And I know that he was doing some investigation into this whole situation too.
Were they on site with this thing though?
No, his group was not. As far as I know, it was the group Veterans on Patrol, which is, from what I know, is a local group.
Okay. So
to Tucson.
To Tucson. All right.
Yeah.
Now, do they even have any jurisdiction to where they can go in and investigate this stuff, or?
I'm not going to make any comments on how they got in there or what they were doing. All I know is what they claim that they do. They claim to help the homeless people. They claim to help veterans get off the streets. They claim to help fight child sex trafficking. They help prostitutes, things like that.
And it wasn't the FBI and the Tucson Police Department. They were not looking into this at all.
As far as we know, they were not the ones to initially find this camp.
Okay. Who found it? Who found the camp?
The Veterans on Patrol.
The Veterans on Patrol found it. Okay.
Yeah, and we don't, or I don't know at least, what involvement the police and FBI have at this point. Mm-hmm. But I think the preliminary claims were that they were refusing to investigate. They claimed that there was not enough evidence to support the claims of Veterans on Patrol, and that it wasn't worth the time. And I believe the Veterans on Patrol were also given a letter or statement saying to remove themselves from the property.
Was that right?
By this last Monday.
By who? Do you know? Or just...
I believe by the authorities and by the company Cemex. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they didn't want to. So did Cemex own this property?
Yes.
They own. Okay.
They still own it. They don't operate it. It's just sitting there.
It's just sitting there. Okay.
Yeah, and it is mostly secured, but I believe the group got into the facility through holes in the fence, which they were suspicious of. Right. But the holes existed already. They didn't create them. But again, these are all just very preliminary claims. We don't know the actual story. This is all he said. Mm-hmm. It's very circumstantial. We don't know. What we do know is the things that were found at the camp.
Yeah, well, tell us what was found at the camp.
So we have all kinds of paraphernalia. Of it looks like things that would be used in a place where rapes are going on. Oh. We have grooming instruments. We have combs. Combs with thin blonde hair. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that means or it's like alluding to children's hair. I'm not sure what that means, but they found that, or they thought that it was important. So.
Okay. Then they find toys and stuff as well.
Yeah. They found toys strewn about all over the place in various conditions, I guess. Right. From well used to broken to destroyed to perfectly fine, I guess.
That's super weird.
The thing is with the toys, a lot of them were in the same area as like used condoms.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just we can't rule out that it's just some weird homeless people or weird dudes getting together for a party or whatever, but it looks pretty fishy.
Right.
The group also claims that they found what they believe to be fresh graves.
Oh, man.
They claim that they dug their way into one and stopped when the smell became too much. Yeah, I don't know if there's been any more investigation into that. Okay. But that sounds pretty creepy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if there's a dead body in the scene, the police have to go in and they have to check it out.
Yeah.
As well.
And that's the thing. With the suspicion of it, you would think that they would want to at least do these guys the benefit of the doubt and investigate. That doesn't seem to be what's going on.
I mean, if you're gonna have this veteran society come in and blow the whistle, and all of a sudden, hey, there are dead bodies over here. Why aren't you checking them out? I mean...
Yeah, it's definitely fishy.
If I were the Tucson Police Department, I'd go in and try to do my best to at least say, this is a dead body we found. We don't know how it got here, things like that. Mm-hmm. But they're not even checking it out at all. Yeah,
from what I understand, these at least in these last few days, they haven't made any kind of effort to investigate.
Well, that's
I think the last major thing that was found, and they have video evidence of this, is what was described as a rape tree.
Oh, man.
Which, from what I understand, I'm not familiar with the term. I'd never heard that before today, actually. But from what I understand, it's pretty commonly found around the border areas or I guess, wilderness areas that are trafficked by, coyotes and smugglers and things like that.
Okay.
Basically, it's a grove of trees, whether well hidden or not, that has ropes secured to it somehow for the purpose of securing people to them. Yeah. They claim that they found at least one of these in the area. I know that one of the videos I saw had what appeared to be like a septic tank rolled over on its side with bedding inside of it.
Oh.
Yeah. And so there was like just some weird, odd, creepy stuff like that. It's not stuff that you would necessarily find in a hobo camp. I would know because I've been in a hobo camp before. We kind of... So that's another story. I think we should take this opportunity to go into that.
Okay, go ahead.
So when I guess I was around 14, 15, we were walking down a road here, and there's a little green belt out on the side of the road. And, we're in a well-populated city, a heavy populated city. So green belts are maybe not so common, but in this area, there's a lot of greenery. It's probably, I would say, like a good square mile of wilderness outside of a well-populated area, lots of businesses, neighborhoods, things like that. We just happened to be taking a shortcut through those woods, and we stumbled upon a hobo camp. Campfire, got junk used for beds and chairs, and you got various trinkets, like homemade dolls or voodoo dolls, totems, things like that. Just interesting little things, little art pieces. But never any evidence of violent actions or sexual stuff going on. Which, I mean, I'm sure that happens with hobos and stuff, but there I didn't feel like I was in danger. And I feel like in this place that they encountered...
Were there hobos in there?
No, not at the time. No. Okay. But the fire was still going, so it was very, very recently lived in. But yeah, it's not the same kind of place as like what these guys found. If I stumbled upon this, I would definitely be very uncomfortable. In a real hobo village, I wasn't uncomfortable. I didn't feel unsafe. But yeah, this is definitely something that I think needs to be further investigated.
Yes, I think so.
And I think the fact that the police and FBI, at least from what we understand, are not investigating, that just tells me that there's something a lot bigger going on than what people may assume.
So about this company, what was the company called?
Cemex.
Cemex,
yeah.
Do you know any background behind them?
I don't know any background of them. All I know is that they're from Mexico. All I know is that they were associated with the Clinton Foundation at some point. And I do know from what I've read about today that they are very active in political campaigns in the counties in which they have business, which isn't uncommon. I mean, there's nothing illegal or fishy about that. Lots of businesses do that. But the thing is, where Cemex was involved, they supported candidates monetarily.
Wasn't there a candidate here in the city near us that was...
Yes. They supported the campaign of the sheriff of Comal County, I believe. At least from what I've read. I don't know how substantiated these claims are. And I don't want to put out any information that's false. But yeah, from what I understand, this company supported his campaign, and then I believe also he immediately basically cleaned house in his department of a lot of agents and investigators who were very experienced in child trafficking.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, so
that's not a suspicious thing, I don't know what is.
Yeah, and we also know that New Braunfels lies along Interstate 35, which runs from north to south. It's a major child sex trafficking highway. And New Braunfels, as a city, has a higher than average rate of child sex trafficking.
Because they're right in the smack dab of that.
Yeah. So these are all coincidences, but for me, it's the accumulation of all coincidences. When you see
There's
them all laid
like-
out together, it's fishy.
Especially with Texas and Arizona and all these countries, all these states being so well connected together.
Yeah.
It's all just going from that, especially from Mexico too.
Yeah.
Because if this company is originated in Mexico, who knows what they're dealing with? They could be dealing with cartel. They could deal with whatever other trafficking organizations that are there. Any trafficking organizations that are here between Texas to Arizona.
Yeah. So, I'll be looking out to see how this case evolves.
Yeah.
If the audience wants to contribute anything, it's more than welcome.
Yeah, and we're also going to have this link in the description as well to the article that we got. There you can see the video of the all the images that are on there. Now we'll have that for you. And of course, if y'all want to leave a comment, anything about that, your speculation, what you think we could do to talk about it more. If you have any input, if you know something that we don't or what we didn't talk about, please feel free to let us know. Well, that was a little morbid.
Right? Yeah, that's definitely a creepy.
But I mean,
creepy case. Yeah.
We talked about, because I mean, if you have these things to where the local government or the local police force is going to look into it because they got a cease and desist from a big company that has a lot of money. It's like, who can you trust? These people, the Tucson Police Department, they are sworn to protect the people of Tucson and to protect anyone else who could be in danger. I mean, if this is to be true, if this speculation is to be true, there are a lot of children, not even just children, but young adults and things like that can be in trouble.
Yeah, definitely.
And
yeah.
they need to be dealt with, because I mean, these people, I mean, if this really does seem to be true, I mean, there's a special place in hell for people like that, I think.
I agree. It's tough to say with any certainty what the truth of these instances or circumstances is.
Right.
Oftentimes misinformation comes out right then.
Oh.
So the story gets mixed up, and you don't know who to believe because everybody's got some kind of cards in the game.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true. I mean, and like we said, it is recently fresh. It's been what, 3 days since the actual article came out. So there might be some more follow up to that. Maybe Tucson actually did follow up on it. We'll check and we'll see what we can find out. And I mean, yeah, it's just
stay safe out there.
Yeah,
keep your eyes open.
Safe, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crazy things out there. I mean, we talk about monsters and all that, but there can be real, actual monsters. It's not just werewolves and vampires you got to worry about. It's the people around us. But yeah. Anyways, let's
let's move on. Let's move on to something not so dark.
The actual monsters here.
Well, I mean, I guess it could be dark.
What do you mean?
The doppelgangers subject.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, it is. But let's get into that. So we're going to be talking about, for our main thing, we're going to be talking about doppelgangers. So I'll just start off with a little definition, what they are, where they originate, things like that. So doppelgangers, what they are, or what the definition is for a doppelganger is, it is a lookalike or a double of a living person, or sometimes portrayed as a ghostly or paranormal phenomena that is often seen as a harbinger of bad luck or an omen of death.
Do we know why that is? Why do they have that connotation?
Well, I want to get into that whenever we get into the stories and everything, but it's usually because anytime someone sees their doppelganger or someone sees the doppelganger of that person, something either really bad happens to that person or they end up dying from disease or accidents, things like that. But the term doppelganger is based on the German word, which is basically meaning double goer. So he's like your double in a way. And I mean, a lot of people can be familiar with the local term that's used for now, the doppelganger, is a lookalike of celebrities. I'm sure you've seen some YouTube videos of people who look like Avril Lavigne or look like The Rock or Childish Gambino's and Donald Glover's doppelganger, stuff like that. That was the recent one I saw.
Oh yeah, they're totally twins.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but just stuff like that. But what we're gonna go into more is the supernatural aspect of it, because I mean, yeah, it's cool to know about your double or whatever in life or whatever, but that's not really a doppelganger. That's just more. I mean, there's so many faces in the world. It would be common or
yeah. I remember like a statistic from sometime when I was a kid.
Right.
That statistically, there's got to be like at least 7 people who look exactly like you in the world.
That too.
Yeah, I don't know like how true that is. I don't even know where that came from.
Right.
I just remember it from my childhood.
Uh-huh.
So, if that's true though, I mean, I could buy it. You know, I've seen people who kind of look like me before.
Yeah, me too.
But I actually remember a specific moment when I was maybe 8 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a friend's birthday party, and for some reason they were on Google searching, like, I guess people who look like each other, who look like us, maybe like, kind of like the pathway we're on right now.
Oh, okay.
But they searched for something and they found a woman who looked exactly like me.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, how unlucky that woman is to look like me. But it was interesting though, definitely, because like, I don't know, it kind of sent me into a mini identity crisis. Like, maybe I'm not so unique after all.
Oh,
you know, that's tough for like an 8-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so. But anyway, that's just one of like my first encounters with this kind of
with a doppelganger.
Yeah, train of thought.
That was your doppelganger.
Yeah. But other than that, I have no real experience, especially not any kind of spiritual experience with a doppelganger.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll get into my story in a little bit. I wouldn't really call it spiritual either, but it was creepy. So with the doppelgangers, double goer. So these things are known around the world. They've been here for hundreds of years. I think
thousands.
Thousands.
I think some of the earliest were in the Egyptian.
Egyptian
records or beliefs or something like that.
The one that I saw that was the oldest, I guess, was in Greek mythology. There's like a creature that also takes form, kind of like it's more of a shapeshifter than it is a doppelganger itself. Mm-hmm. But they're no. I don't even know what the name is. If I find it, I'll put in a link in the
Now, is that like a beast or is it a spirit?
It's more. It's not a beast per se, but it is. Not even a spirit. It's not a kind of like a wraith. Yeah,
a wraith.
I would say
okay.
A type of spirit.
Because I mean, like in Greek mythology, like the gods could take the shape of whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
Right. So, I guess that's the origin of a lot of the Zeus stories. Is him taking human form
of one of the kings or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, because but that's a god though. Like doppelgangers, their whole thing is they bring this aura of misfortune and bad luck and omens of death and things like that. Mm-hmm. And that seems to go more in the wraiths path, because wraiths are not seen as being benevolent creatures, but they're seen as being creatures of bad omens and things like that.
Right.
I mean, even hearing the word wraith, you don't really think of it as something.
It's a scary word.
Yeah, it's a scary word.
Yeah.
But there's that, and other traditions perceive the doppelganger as being your evil twin almost. So it's kind of like this manifestation of all things bad about you, and it kind of takes form and becomes this thing that looks like you, but it really isn't. And they can go, and in some of the German and some of the Nordic mythologies, is these things would go out and they would start mischief in towns or whatever, and they would take your form and they would burn down a house, or they would destroy some some property or things like that, and they would make sure that they see you or their face that is yours, and then you'd be wherever you are, and all of a sudden you have a town mob forming for you because you destroyed some public property or whatever, and you're like, I don't know what happened. So there are aspects of that. So they can also be seen as mischievous or just bad omens themselves, just that evil twin that you have.
Yeah.
And more ancient myths of these beings were actually seen as wraiths, like I said, or apparitions that cast no shadow.
So that would imply that they're not physically there.
Yeah. So I mean, a wraith is basically a ghost.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't see a ghost cast a shadow. Well, yeah, you would see a ghost cast a shadow, but what's a good way? Like these things, like they aren't really there. They're more just apparitions, forms that.
Like it's on a different level of existence, a different plane, right?
Right.
That you can only catch a glimpse of what's really there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't really. You're not seeing the whole picture, is what it's saying. And it, of course, it's like a replica or a form of you, or another existing person that you know, or anything like that. If a doppelganger is seen by a friend or family member, it is said to signify illness or danger would befall that person. So if a family member of yours or a friend were to see your doppelganger out in the world, it would be an omen for sickness, or it would be an omen for something bad happening to you. And that was where my story comes in. I want to say maybe a few months ago, I was sick with bronchitis, and I was in bed, and my friend Steven calls me out of the blue. He doesn't call me, he texts me, and he's asking, hey, are you at HEB? I'm like, no, I'm sick. So I replied to him back, no, man, I'm sick in my bed. What's going on? He says, hey, I could have sworn I saw you at HEB. I was like, what do you mean? I said, well, did you see somebody that looks like me? He's like, well, maybe because the guy had your beard and you had your glasses and everything like that. He's wearing one of the shirts that you had. And I was like, oh, that's really weird.
That is weird, yeah.
So I was like, yeah, man. I just brushed it aside. I didn't really think of it any more than that. I was like, oh, well, there are people, there are big dudes with beards and glasses that, I don't know where my glasses right now, but I do wear glasses all the time, especially in HEB, where we live. So I didn't really think anything of it, but as I was doing research for this, I was like, oh man, because the whole sickness thing happened because, I had bronchitis. So I was like, oh, well, this could have been like a sign of, like before I got it, but a sign of sickness or whatever. I got better, obviously, but, this is that thing that, of omens.
Yeah, definitely.
That really freaks you out. Freaked me out, at least.
Yeah, obviously, that'd be easy to explain away that it was just some guy that looked like you, but that he was wearing the clothes that you usually wear.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's kind of odd. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder what he was doing at HEB.
I don't know. Maybe I was hungry. I don't know.
Do doppelgangers pick up groceries?
A little corner side.
Yeah, do they even have to eat? Do they have to eat? Do they have to drink water? Do they have to...
That's the thing. No one really knows. They're just seen as apparitions of...
So it's always a glimpse. It's never like a sustained...
No.
Image or interaction.
No.
Huh.
Like it's either a few minutes or a few seconds.
Right, but can they talk? Because I think we had an instance in here where Catherine the Great, I believe.
Oh, that's right.
She had a experience with a doppelganger.
She had an experience with her doppelganger.
Yeah, herself.
Yes.
Yeah, and I believe it was that she had a conversation with said doppelganger about something. I don't know what.
Well, it was in her throne room. I know that she was sick at the time as well, and she was walking into her throne room without guards or whatever it is, and there on top of her throne was her doppelganger
sitting there
in
her throne.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the conversation was that they had, but it was something to the point of, you're going to die soon, or something like that. And so Catherine the Great, of course, she freaks out, and she calls in her guards from the other room and says, kill this thing.
Yeah. Well, obviously, that's a normal reaction, right?
But as soon as she turns and tells her guards, she turns back. It's gone.
Wow.
And the thing is, I think either a few weeks or 1 month away from that, she died. So it was
very interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, there's again the omen of death.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting too that it's someone who was so famous, like basically a global celebrity at that time, really, who was willing to put that information out and talk about it. Put her reputation at stake, you know.
Well, I mean, look at the celebrities now. I mean, the ones that see their lookalikes or whatever. It's kind of I mean, not in the sense that, hey, you're gonna die, but
right.
In the sense of like, hey, this is my lookalike. This is crazy, you know.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think at the time, you know, more people were accepting. Well, they weren't really accepting, but they believed more in stuff like this, to where like, oh, you know, that's a bad omen and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, more open to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Especially in the supernatural standpoint.
Right.
But another theory that I want to get out is, a lot of people talk about it as them being apparitions or them being some kind of specters of some sort. But I also, well, from what I'm getting from other sources, is that they can also be seen as psychokinetic. So what I mean by that is, like, you yourself as a person is using your energy to project these things into the physical world.
Oh, that's interesting.
So, for what I have for that is in, I believe, 1804 or something like that. There's a senator, or not a senator. Well, yeah, I guess you would call him a senator. In Parliament at the time was deathly sick. I forgot what he had. He either had consumption or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he was bedridden for months at the time. And at that time, something was going to happen in Parliament that was going to, like, they're going to change a policy, or they're going to make a new law or something like that. And on that day in Parliament, when they were all shouting and yelling and trying to get their points across, things like that, one of his friends that was in Parliament was looking around and saw the man that was bedridden in his seat, just looking on and looking at the other people in Parliament, looking at everything that was going on within the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy gets up and he wants to go talk to him and says, "Hey, I thought you were sick in bed. I didn't know you were getting better. How are you feeling?" Things like that. Well, he doesn't talk to him at all. He doesn't even look at him. He's just looking on still at everything that's going on. And he's trying to get his attention, and he's starting to get mad. So he's like, "Hey," and he tries to go and touch him, but he gets up all of a sudden and starts walking away.
Wow. Okay.
And so the friend starts to go after him, but in the chaos and everything, he loses him in the crowd. And as he goes to the exit of the door, he's gone. So either a few days or a few weeks later, the man goes to the sick senator and sees how he is, and he's still bedridden. And he tells him about his account. And the senator says, "Oh, that was just probably my doppelganger trying to see what was going on in Parliament." And
like it was normal.
Yeah, like he was like, "Oh, it's probably just my doppelganger."
Weird.
And he could tell him accounts of what was happening in Parliament at the time.
Wow.
Like what speaker was saying what things were happening at that point. Even him trying to tell him, "Oh, hey, you know, how are you?" and things like that.
Right. But he couldn't respond for whatever reason.
No.
So he could see and he could feel, he could be there, but he couldn't interact.
Right. That's
interesting. And he spoke about it as if it was a common occurrence.
Like, for him at least.
Yeah, for him at least. Yeah. That's really interesting.
Yeah. And that's where I'm going in with the metaphysical these things being metaphysical phenomenon from our forces or energies, I guess. Because the reason why I think people die from seeing their doppelganger, or the accounts that they do die from seeing their doppelgangers, or they get sick or things like that, is because they're using so much energy from themselves to project these metaphysical things into the physical world, that it just drains so much energy out of them that it drains their life force, basically.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it does, but I mean, that's my theory on the whole thing. And I mean, just
I think I don't know. In the modern age, I think a lot of people like to use the multiple universes theory to explain away a lot of phenomena, and I think that could probably fit well in this instance.
I see.
What if another universe is somehow bumping into ours?
Okay.
And an alternate version of you from that universe is coming into ours.
Okay.
For ever so briefly. Maybe that version of you and yourself bumping each other in this reality, your interactions affecting each other, can cause some detrimental things to happen.
Oh, okay. So you think because them both being in the same universe, the universe is trying to get rid of one of you?
Right. It has to fix itself somehow.
Right.
And it deletes one.
Oh.
So in some way. Now, I know that that's not a perfect explanation for this, but I think that it could possibly, it's as valid a theory as any other, I would say.
Right.
We don't know what these things are. All we know is that people see them. And it's rare. This isn't a thing that happens every day.
Oh,
and
of course.
People don't claim that this happens very commonly. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, that is a liable thing. But if it were to be like someone from a different universe, I would think like your different universal self would be able to interact with the world around you still. Because a lot of these interactions with doppelgangers, the doppelganger never talks to anyone.
Right.
Like it's always, like the only one that I could see was Catherine the Great's, which was a very rare occasion. Because there's only one type of occasion of that.
Okay. Yeah.
And that could be her seeing her either her future self, well, not her future self, but her other dimensional self, where she knows she's gonna die in this dimension or something like that.
Yeah.
But
also that brings in the question: would that alternate version of yourself even be aware that they're in your universe? Would they even know, or would it be the same kind of
either way
world to them, and you're just catching a glimpse?
Mm-hmm. Well, either way, I would think, because if this is a viable theory, I would think it would be universes that are right next to each other. And if that is so, these universes aren't going to be necessarily different from one another, or very, 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 very slightly different, to where if the next dimension of me were to sit right across from me, we wouldn't really know what was the difference between us.
Right.
Like a difference could be that I don't have a finger, or he doesn't have an extra finger, or something like that.
Yeah, or even like
real minimal.
A life experience was altered in some way in the past. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, very minute. Yeah.
So, and either way, I would think they'd be able to, even for that brief moment, interact with whoever it is that you're talking
See, but
to.
what I'm saying, though, is that if it's just a window, maybe he is interacting.
Oh, like he's still in that,
and you're not.
In his universe?
Yeah, he's still in his, and you're just seeing him, or vice versa.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And you're just kind of bumping into that reality. You're not.
Oh yeah, that's very
fully getting into it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
an interesting one. Yeah, because I mean, if you were just looking into his universe, and if you just see him right there, yeah. But I don't get how. Well, yeah. I mean, how your friends have found, since they have that connection with you, they'd be able to see yourself. Because that's another thing. A lot of these accounts, other people that don't that aren't you seeing your doppelganger. They are your friends or close friends or family.
Right.
They're seeing them.
Right.
So it's that bond that they have with you is why they're able to see your doppelganger, or your interdimensional self, or your metaphysical self, whatever it is that is.
Right. Right.
Because you can say, "Hey, I just saw Justin HEB," and someone else be with you and be like, "Oh, I didn't see anything." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I can get that. Yeah, because they have to have the emotional attachment as well,
Right.
rather than just the physical experience.
Yeah, because I mean, if this goes back to doppelgangers being basically a metaphysical apparition of everything negative or evil about you, I could see why these things would latch on to people who actually care about you, because they're trying to cut that bond away from that person or whatever it is.
Right. Right. Well, that's really interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
It's spooky.
yeah, it is spooky. I mean,
how do you? Well, I guess other than the fact that they don't talk usually, how would you even know if you encountered them?
that's the thing. You would just have. That's the thing too, because a lot of these, a lot of historical events, it's just like, oh, that's your doppelganger, because the guy's dead the next day. I mean, that's their one. That was their one real.
That was their sign.
It
Like,
was just like, oh, that must have been his doppelganger at the pub. You know, things like that.
Yeah.
Because he just ends up dead the next day in his bed. I mean, I really don't know. I mean, there must be something like. Even if it was you from another dimension, it wouldn't look exactly like you. Like, there would be something about them that's not you.
I don't know. That leads to a more philosophical question, I think.
Oh, yeah, it does.
What makes you you in the
that's
end?
true. I mean, if they're not speaking, you're not going to really know if that's you or not.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, yeah, that's a good question. Because, I mean, what if we see our doppelgangers? How am I going to know? I mean, we could go... No, that's the thing. No one's ever touched them. No one's ever touched a doppelganger.
Right.
So if you were to actually try to touch one, would it, like, freak out and...
I don't know. I would honestly...
turn into a shadow monster?
I would be scared to do that because there's always a possibility that you do collide with that side, and in some way that could change you, as in the negative aspects of yourself combine with you, like, that pure negativity
Right.
combines with you, or it's an alternate version of yourself, and the universe decides that
Destroy.
someone's got to go.
Just puff into smoke.
Right. So I think, I don't know, in that instance, I would probably be more comfortable keeping them at a safe distance, but a conversation would need to be had. Yeah.
Yeah.
Try to talk to them.
Now, what if it's your friend? Like, what if I see your doppelganger and I go try to touch it?
I mean, I don't know if that would affect you. I don't even know if you could. That's another thing.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, what if your hand just passes right through it?
Well, then we know.
Well, then, yeah. Like, hey! Your doppelganger.
It's just a projection
right?
of some kind.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
That's crazy.
A lot of strange things out there.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, let us know, audience, if you've ever seen a doppelganger. Any of your crazy experiences, we'd love to hear them.
Yeah, I mean, if you have anything else, if you have a friend that saw you at HEB and was like, hey, why don't you say hi to me or anything like that, let us know. Any stories you have on that, any theories you have on that. I know that you have, there's something that you might have, whether it be the paranormal type where you see the negative aspirations of yourself coming to life, or you see the more, I guess, domestic version of the theory where it's just a lookalike of yourself or whatever, a lookalike of a celebrity.
Yeah, I think maybe you found your twin. Your long lost twin. Yeah.
I mean, that could be possible too. You just see your long lost twin and you don't even know about it.
Yeah.
I mean, just let us know in the comments. Well, before we get out, I want to tell y'all about our social medias that we made. Our first one is from Instagram. It is the Edge of Madness show, all lowercase. All the words are together. Y'all can go follow us there. We're gonna have updates on our show, little things behind the scenes that we have on the story and everything like that. Just make sure you go ahead and find that there. And we'll always have a link up there on our most recent shows that come up. We also have our Snapchat, which is the Edge of Madness show. There's no show. There we have we have stories like behind the scenes when we're going up, stuff like that. And we'll always
also on the Edge of Madness for the Snapchat.
Right.
It's but it's just TH. There's no double E's there.
Yeah, there's no double E.
It's just one E. The Edge of Madness.
Yes, but we'll put all the social medias up in the description as well. We're gonna have a Facebook as well. Of course, our YouTube page. And whenever we get it better set up or anything like that, we want to start live streaming on our Twitch. For our Twitch, we might do other little things. We might do small snippets where we talk about maybe guest things, or we'll have a guest come in and tell us a story, or talk about little scary stuff or conspiracy stuff. Also, join us on our MySpace. No, not MySpace.
Yes, our MySpace though.
I almost said MySpace on the on our little blooper there, but no, we don't have a MySpace. I don't think anyone does anymore.
I'm gonna make a MySpace. If anyone is still on MySpace, please come follow us.
Add them on MySpace.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's like a social media thing anymore.
It still functions. I visited it like a year ago, and it was still kind of functioning. It's different. It's not social media so much.
It sounds like a music thing now.
Yeah, it's kind of the way like YouTube used to be, where you just have your like private channel, and you just kind of like save videos and maybe upload some stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really back now.
Oh, and we'll probably put it in our next video, but we're going to make a subreddit as well, so you can put up stuff on the subreddit, and we'll talk about that and things like that. Also, if y'all have any suggestions on shows we could do, conspiracy theories, or some kind of monster or cryptid you would like to see a little profile on or anything like that, or if you have any current news that we can put in the current conspiracy, that'd be great as well. That way we have the input from y'all, and we can work with y'all, we'll talk about it and things like that. That way we have more of a concise community. That way we can all talk together and be on the same page, basically. Do we know what our next episode is, by the way?
I haven't thought about it yet.
Yeah.
Maybe we should rely on the community for this one.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, no.
No.
Producer Brunhilde says no.
Yeah, when we get more of a following, then we'll do that. Right now, we're still getting started and everything. So once we get more of a following on that, then yeah, of course, yes, we will have y'all coming in and giving us suggestions on that. Until then, I mean, do you want to do more of a conspiracy thing, or do you want to do a monster thing? I mean, we kind of did our monster thing already, so we can do like a conspiracy thing.
Yeah, we'll check it out.
Okay.
And of course, we'll have our current conspiracy.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have those.
But once we're decided on what we're gonna do for our second episode, we'll put it up on our social medias and things like that. And y'all can put in whatever you want on that. You can comment on, like, oh, hey, this is something you can talk about in the conspiracy or things like that. Mm-hmm. Something we might miss, because I know we don't put everything that's on these conspiracies or anything like that. So if you know something that we don't, please let us know.
Yeah, I'd love to follow up with this, especially if anyone has any more experiences. I'd love to include that in the next episode. Mm-hmm. Also, like maybe just a 5-10 minute portion.
Of course.
I think that'd be great. I think that's it. I think we're good.
Yes.
As far as this episode goes.
Alrighty. Well, that's the end of episode 1. Thank you all very much for listening. And for those of y'all who watch us on YouTube, thank you for watching. This is Mr. J.
This is Rusty. Be sure to tune in next week. This is The Edge of Madness.
We'll see you next time, guys.